Workshop's been a critical design partner from the very beginning. Really everybody who touched this movie over there, they've been thinking about Ghost in the Shell and internalizing it so they can sort of stay loyal to the source material, but at the same time create something new.
Our design team, the original material has been so inspirational to them in their careers, and the opportunity was beyond some of their wildest imagination.
It was a group of very artistic and scientific and gifted people in rooms just talking and drawing and chewing the fat, and you kind of start with these huge worlds of ideas.
People are thinking very heavily about how to bring his project to life and how to take his ideas and really run with them and supercharge them.
We'd throw work on the wall and we'd start to draw and talk about and understand parts of the world.
Rupert was intent on reshuffling the world powers so that you had a lot of influences from Africa, from the United States, from Great Britain, all in this big melting pot. Everything from the cybernetics that people have, to vehicles, to advertising.
What are these guys? What does the greengrocer have that's what is he using to cyberize himself?
A very, very important thing for us was to try to define in the future what groups of people, what subgroups there were, what they are doing in this world, and how they interface with technology. Just to try to make an authentic looking future.
It'd be nice if you see skeleton, ballistic gel, and then the kind of sleeve on top.
The KUZE character is a tricky thing to design because you're designing a villain, and Rupert was really clear he wanted that personality to shine through every movement and every facet on the character.
Initially there was just a lot of concepting about why he was the way he was, what was sort of motivating him. The character's kind of realization about how he had been used wrongly for certain nefarious purposes by the government. We knew that this character was sort of holding on to his humanity as best he could, hearkening back to handmade, tactile things.
What do you want from me?
They did not save your life. They stole it.
I knew about the Wētā Workshop, but I didn't know they named it after this scary cockroach with fangs. But going over there was the most enjoyable part and also the most uncomfortable because you're being poked and fitted and they're gluing things to your face.
There's a very complex level of consideration around how each piece will be broken down, manufactured in a way that can be easily applied, and all of that plays a part in building these unique characters.
The base suit is VFX green, so it's going to be digitally removed and replaced with his skeleton, his understructure.
The original major skeleton that had been designed by Vitali was very much a carbon fiber skeleton. It looked like a human being made of different futuristic materials. What WETA brought to it with Jan and Rupert's direction was a little more robot, a little more something other inside. Things like shoulders and hips have power behind them. They're accelerated and amplified.
I have been very thankful that Rupert Sanders came to us and said, guys, let's try and do as much of it physically as possible. We've developed all of the geishas, their various masks and animatronics and bodies and various explosion rigs and damage.
Rupert and Richard Taylor, they kind of arrived at this idea that, just because something goes in the future doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to absolutely 100% lose the artisan touch.
This is where we're at with the...
Yeah, that looks good. What are we actually making this out of eventually?
The fact that we were 5 minutes down the road from Richard Taylor and his group, the fact that we could keep examining things and questioning things and working to make them so unique, that was a giant boon to the production and to Rupert.
We've utilised reelers, the actor's face cast, and then created an absolutely symmetrical representation of her. This is the automaton head. This character gets shot and the Major confronts her and her face opens up, revealing what's inside.
So when the geisha face opens and when it's open in the morgue, that's something that was all designed, 3D printed, cut, hand-painted, polished. It's an incredibly intricate and beautiful prop.
We're trying to fit the neck to the body. The issue is everything's a little bit flexible, so as you bolt everything up, it changes the positioning slightly.
It doesn't close anymore.
Right.
And go.
Designing the thermoptic suit was a collaboration. Mark Shea did some initial sketches and we carried those on.
When her suit is basically a thicker, it's a thickening of the existing understructure.
If she's just a machine body, then you can imagine this thing just plugging right into her nervous system and she's feeling through it. A lot of materials testing went into the thermoptic suit. Silicone's a really hard material to work with at the best of times, as it tears so easily, let alone getting a person into it as a suit. Something that responds to the actor in the way that a second skin would.
When you do bend your arm and that really stretches and opens up.
Yeah.
I created the pattern shapes. They went to the 3D department where they digitized it, milled it out in acrylic to create a mold, which went to Jace's team. They poured the silicone and laid in the mesh fabric that we used as a base. Then it would come back to our team, we'd cut them up in these beautiful pieces with all the detail molded into them. This is our version 1 of the thermoptic suit. So this is fresh out of the mold. This is the first time we've tried it on anyone, so it's really exciting, yeah.
It's like a full body legging and it's really cozy and I pretty much can move however I want.
So now we get to refine it.
This is cast flat. We glue and sew it together.
As many kind of superhero and those kind of suits that they have done, they have never done a full silicone suit. But it's performed really well and it looks really beautiful.
It has a light quality about it in terms of light penetrating it and bouncing around inside it that is very, very unique, and I don't think we would have got it any other way.
Wētā Workshop does a really, really good job of trying to make costumes or trying to make props that help actors just inhabit that character.
With this film, I really feel that every single little prop is with so much history.
Right, I love the process too. Oh wow. With clever bastards, aren't they? When Scarlett comes tomorrow, I'll come and it'd be nice to just show her.
Yeah,
this stuff's really about getting into character.
This is a specific bed set up in the Hanker ward, but in this case we have a special head rig that goes in the back here that the Major lies back in, so it looks like the Major's head is opening up. All of the prosthetics on the show, incredibly complex prosthetics, integrating the robotics of this manufactured futuristic world with the cyber enhancements and the human augmentation prosthetic makeups are all put together by Jason Doherty and Kim Doherty and their team in the workshop.
What I'm doing is just creating a kind of skin texture that will run up to the technology and help it be integrated into the skin. We'll use a new appliance every day, so we'll have to run quite a few copies of all of these.
Initiate Project 2571.
Our partners at Wētā Workshop, Richard Taylor, his whole team, have created the shelling sequence for us where the Major's character comes to life.
It's so iconic in sci-fi film history, and we campaigned long and hard that it could be done as a physical effect.
We approached this build from a 3D modelling point of view, so because we had such fantastic designs up front, we were able to go through and basically break this down into all its different components. And I think there ended up being about 1,400 individual pieces, and they all need to mesh together and fit together perfectly. The skeleton itself took about 5 months to build.
It's been a bit of a learning curve, trying to understand this whole structure, basically building a human body.
Here it comes.
Beautiful, by the way. It's nice to see the work going in that room.
We're shooting the 1.5 scale here. We upped the scale of it to try and get a lot more definition out at the finish, but also to fit our servo packs and everything in there. The next phase of manufacturing is the ballistic gel layer. Everything is completely 3D printed. All of this ballistic gel here clips over the top of the skeleton, so we can still see the Major's skeleton, muscle structure and everything through the ballistic gel. We had another body that we brought out of a white liquid, and that was really the skin layer that went over top of the ballistic gel.
Underneath here there are some rigging holes that we used to need that we don't need anymore, and we're just dressing them to shot, and we've got to make sure they're watertight, so a bit of a scramble on before we chuck them in the big tank.
Unlike almost any other film, it is requiring such a depth of execution because of the source material and how deeply people love it.
I think people were very inspired by the actual anime itself with what Rupert wanted to create, and we felt that all the way through.
I've really enjoyed watching our team trying to complement this extraordinary vision that came before, so many years before we ever had the good fortune of working on this.
When everybody is bringing their full artistry to something, their full guns to bear, it's just amazing.
Ghost in the Shell was immensely creatively satisfying. We should all be really proud of the work we did. We had a great time working with Rupert and the production team, and if the opportunity was awarded to us, we'd do it again in a heartbeat.